malicious code. A little difficult, it's a little more technical. This includes, now interestingly enough, when you try to define something, you want to be restricted, you want to be specific what malicious code is. Hi, virus, what's a virus? Includes but not limited to. So already it could be anything. A computer program or a hidden function in a program that damages data or compromises the electronic system's performance. And I asked a question yesterday, does that mean Microsoft bugged software, messed up software would also be a malicious code because it doesn't perform well?
Windows.
Apple uses a very happy to have one. Or uses the electronic system resources. Electronic system resources, I don't know.
So wait, if it writes on my hard disk, that's an offense?
That's an offense. Without proper authorization. What is proper authorization?
Are you sure you want to delete? That's not a command.
If it's authorization or not authorization, I get that. Proper authorization? I don't get that. With or without attaching its copy to a file. So it doesn't matter, don't mention it. And is capable of spreading over electronic system with or without human intervention, including virus, worm or Trojan horse. Again, they're still insecure. Yaar, aajkal cover nahi ho raha hai, to naam dal hi Trojan horse. What about other things? What about other kinds of viruses? The question is, supposing it is not meant to spread over large, it is only supposed to go to one particular computer and do espionage and catch that person's data.
That's not malicious code.
Is that not malicious code? According to this? That's not malicious code. If you target somebody, that's not, that makes no sense. The definition of malicious code is available on the internet. You can do it on Google. You can get several definitions. दी हुई हैं उनको नहीं डालेंगे. So my question basically is, that means if you look at all of these offenses, the cyber stalker, the spoofer, the spammer, the phisher, and also the guy who does viruses goes free.
Obviously, Zahid, you're not happy about that creativity.
No, I'm not. But I'll tell you where I'm surprised. I'll come to something interesting later.
You had mentioned something about bad code, which is a lot of code.
Yes.
So that also...
Now, bad code or something that basically compromises the electronic system's performance. I just write you a bad code. Are you going to file an FIR against me and saying that I have written malicious code?
Malafide proof करना पड़ेगा.
Not necessarily आपने लिखा नहीं.
Malicious तो उसी बकवास में malafide.
नहीं वो तो नाम है उसका. वो section में कहीं नहीं mention किया है. करना चाहिए. See, no, you can actually figure out the fact. Okay, for God's sake, it's called malicious code. Put the word malicious into with intent. What intent? Where is that?
शुरू में तो with or without intent तो कर ही लिया था ना. तो वैसे ही था मतलब.
And not limited to.
But not limited.
And proper authorization could be concluded as signature required.
It could be anything. It could be anything. And how do you prove that? Because in the meantime, I'm in jail and I'm like sitting there going, what do I do now? Very bail nahi ho rahi hai. Now, I'm going to pause here for a second and we're continuing with 3-4 more sections. It's interesting, you should know what's about to happen in Pakistan. But, so, did they not have something international to look at? Yes, they did. They had this Council of Europe Convention on Cybercrime, which is not a European convention, it's the International Convention on Cybercrimes. And this convention basically is not just signed by European countries, signed by America, Canada, South Africa, Japan. These countries sign on, and it's open to us. But every time you talk to the Pakistani government, do you want to sign on to it? The answer is like,
We don't know it.
no, it's just... That's the answer. I gave them a copy of the convention. I said, you want to draft a cybercrime law? Here's a copy of the convention. And after that, we haven't seen it. They know about it. They've been told about it, but they will not use the definition.
They've made copies in triplicate and filed them away safely.
Absolutely. Very safe.
No, then they had to pay a consultant to draft a new one. Huh? If they took that
That's
one,
where
then
They just paid a consultant to make copies. Essentially, that's what they do.
That would be fun.
Now, the cybercrime or the Budapest Convention talks about data interference, because that's the whole concept of basically cybercrime. You interfere with someone's data, with someone's system, someone's information system or computer. That's what you do. You're interfering with it. Damage means you take something and you physically damage it. That's the legal connotation of damage. You can't damage data because data is not physical, right? But we decide to talk about data damage. Whoever with intent to cause damage to the public or any person damages any data is said to commit the offense of data damage. What if I don't want to cause any damage to the public or any person, but I just do actually cause interference with data? Is that not data interference? Because that's what the international community thinks is data interference, and it is a crime. Again, the guy who does data interference makes sure he doesn't actually damage somebody, and guess what? He walks. So does this law actually stop the cyber criminal? Not really. Similarly,
Sorry, catch, and we can always argue in court that it was never my intent
to damage any
just
person.
happened.
It just so happens. Exactly. Absolutely right. Very, very correct. System damage, same thing. Exactly same wording used for system damage. It should be system interference.
But who decides whether they had the intent to cause damage?
The court, you'll have to prove it. You'll have to prove it.
You have to prove intent, which is itself
Tricky business. In an electronic arena, it's not easy. Then you have something called electronic fraud. Whoever for gain interferes with data. Now suddenly they become very intelligent and use the word interference. Note, either two different people or three different people have written this, which is actually what happened. Whoever for gain interferes with data or electronic system. What about damaging data? वो वाला भूल ही गए. To induce any person to enter into a relationship or with intent to deceive any person, which act or omission is likely to cause damage or harm to that person or any other person commits electronic fraud. Now, what if I just fool a system so that it gives me money, but I don't deceive a person? I
You're
don't.
okay.
And then you're okay? So if I am clever, I'm going to read this section, okay, and I want to, you know how basically electronic fraud for banking takes place. You take a little bit of money out from everywhere. Nobody's really damaged. Each and every individual person loses what? Maybe 10 cents?
yeah.
It's not really, it's minimal damage. And I'm not deceiving him, am I? Am I deceiving a person? Am I deceiving any particular person? No, I'm not. It's a system. This is language for the real world used in cyberspace. And that's why it won't work. The definition internationally under the Cybercrime Convention is very, very simple. If you intentionally and without right or authority, you could say that, without right authority, the causing of a loss of property to another by any input, alteration, deletion or suppression of computer data, any interference with the functioning of the computer system, with fraudulent or dishonest intent of procuring without right an economic benefit. Very clear. It's very sensible. Anybody reads it goes, yeah, that makes sense. And the judges can use it. Why is this a relationship? What has the relationship got to do with it? Deceiving a person. Who's got anything to do with deceiving a person? Now, read this one. You're going to have fun with this. We're looking at electronic forgery. What's forgery?
What was that one?
That was exactly. You're about to catch on. Hold on. What's forgery? What is it? Huh? Copy.
Deception.
Deception, but deception how?
Copying. So copying something and pretend passing it off as original.
As original, right? Okay. So basically forging some document or something. Remember that. Okay, that should be written here somewhere. Whoever for gain interferes with data or electronic system with intent to cause injury to the public or to any person or to support any claim or title over something, having claim over something, or to cause any person to part with his property, or to enter into any express or implied contract, or with intent to commit fraud, commits electronic forgery.
This is fraud.
This is fraud. This is fraud. If I get somebody to give me his property with deception, or enter into contract with deception, I've committed fraud. But how did I do forgery? Where is forgery mentioned here? Where's authenticity mentioned here? Where's basically deceiving a person about a document or a thing mentioned here?
And
Nowhere.
regardless of the fact that the data is directly readable and intelligible or not.
Yes. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means.
Are they referring, could they be referring to signatures? Because it's like a whole bunch of witty lines that may not, be intelligible but depict.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. They may be, but we're not
I mean,
in
it's
that.
ridiculous regardless.
We're not in that world. No, you're right. We're not in that world though. But it just shows you the way they're thinking.
Right.
Because
Or not.
by the way, remember, this law was written on a piece of paper with a pen and stuff. When it goes to the law ministry, electronic document को नहीं बोलेंगे computer पे. आप note कीजिएगा. I've done this before. वो आपकी printout आती है. It must be double spaced. It must be marginalized this much. It sits on a little desk like this, which is raised up, and he's a draftsman. So he has these pens on the side and pencils on the side, and he sits there and he does cross. And he does this, and that's how he gives it back to you, going, "I've drafted." They haven't entered the electronic age yet. What does the cybercrime convention say is electronic forgery? Without right, the input, alteration, deletion, or suppression of computer data resulting in inauthentic data, with the intent that it be considered or acted upon for legal purposes as if it were authentic, regardless whether or not the data is directly readable and intelligible. Now the question is, why was this definition not known to the guy writing this section? Of course, it should have been known. You just put it there, and that's as simple as that. They're not doing it. Corporate liability. So, a corporation shall be held liable for a criminal offense committed on its instructions or for its benefit. If the company instructs you to do something wrong and illegal, sure, it should be liable. I completely agree with that. But when you say for its benefit, let me give you an example. And I gave this example yesterday. Anybody remember the story of Faisal Bank? There was a guy in Faisal Bank who was doing insider trading allegedly.
Yeah.
Okay. Now he was taking money out. He was using the account of Faisal Bank. What if he took 90% for himself and put 10% into the coffers and into the accounts of Faisal Bank? Does the company benefit? The company didn't know this, right? It's not about knowledge. It's simply about benefiting. The company's liable. MNCs are going to leave.
But, sorry, just the honest instructions part, doesn't that assume that the company is aware of?
Honest instructions or for its benefit. So it means that either it instructed it to do it or it didn't instruct it to do it, but if it benefited from it, it still goes to prison. They think that they can deal with the whole complex issue of corporate liability of cyber crimes in 3 lines.
Don't they have any legal
This is written by a lawyer.
No, this must have been written by a sessions judge.
Sessions judge must be
I'm a lawyer, so I will not make a comment on that one. I have to appear before session. Sorry, I'll withhold my comment. Cyber terrorism. Now, don't read the what we're reading for a second. Does anybody know what cyber terrorism is all about? Like, any idea?
You're bringing down servers and hacking into sites like that happened in Estonia, I believe.
Right.
Or if I connect to the Civil Aviation Authority, like I said yesterday, and cause 2 planes or 3 planes to crash, that's terrorism using.
Just shown terroristic intent.
Someone took over Daily Times website.
Yeah.
The Daily Times website?
Yeah, it was hacked recently.
Now, is that terrorism?
What is
What is cyber terrorism?
That's hacking.
But it
No.
can be used to misinform people. It can
Yes,
be used to deceive
yes,
people.
it can use
Okay,
this.
there are 2 things.
It's a
But
deception.
what is
not
cyber
terrorism.
terrorism? Cyber terrorism mean?
They
Destroying
said
things, sir.
using the computer to bring down
Awesome.
other computers or a server,
Or
deny a
systems or
service,
whatever.
but you're impacting upon machines.
Yes.
Okay. What Janara said was you're using computers to make 2 planes crash.
Right.
So what is it? Is it what?
No,
he
just a
said?
second.
No.
But it's still impacting upon machines. There happen to be people.
Right.
So I mean, if you
That's the offshoot.
that's the offshoot. I mean, if you bring down the national health system, whatever,
Yeah.
and some kind of intensive care unit goes down, the guy dies.
Yeah.
He's connected.
Yeah.
He's not connected, but still dies.
That's collateral damage.
Cyber terrorism is something that doesn't necessarily have to lead to somebody dying or somebody being injured.
I mean, that's collateral damage.
That's right. That's collateral. That's something. That's an additional and aggravated offense. Cyber terrorism itself focuses on the concept that you, as a hacker, basically hack a system which brings down an electronic grid, a whole server system of Pakistan, telecommunication system. Just doing that. So you don't do any damage. Did anybody see Die Hard 4?
I was watching it.
Anybody see Die Hard 4?
Yeah.
Okay, alright. In Die Hard 4, they didn't actually cause any physical injury to anybody. All they did was, they basically hacked into the traffic system, they shut down the phone system, and things like that. Right? Okay. So, power outlets and all that. So, you don't actually damage anything. You do an electronic attack on a mass scale. That's what cyber terrorism. It's not terrorism per se by killing people and you're basically bombing a plane or anything like that. It's about basically systems. Now they didn't understand that. Instead they did something different, and I'll talk about that in a second. You'll see as we go. It's a very, very long section.
Investigate it.
First of all, this thing has nothing to do with Terrorism Act 1997, which is already regulated under the Terrorism Act 97, so I don't know why they're not all of this stuff. Any person, group, organization or faction who with terroristic intent, there's no such thing as terroristic. The word terroristic does not exist in the English
They want
language.
to add it to the Oxford.
Yes, absolutely. They've done a great job, I think. And when you talked about creativity,
We have brains.
we have, or no, or accesses or causes to be accessed to computer or computer network by any available means and thereby knowingly engages in or attempts to engage in a terroristic act. So if anybody basically with terroristic intent actually does a terroristic attack, a terroristic act, okay, shall be guilty for crime of cyberterrorism. The punishment for that is life imprisonment or death. Now, and somebody when he read the list, he says, after the arms race sitting or shutting down our operations in Pakistan and India. Let me show you what actually terroristic act and terroristic intent mean. Terroristic intent means to act with.
The intent था.
The intent था. Terroristic intent means to act with the purpose to alarm, frighten, disrupt, harm, damage, or carry out an act of violence against a large segment of the population or government or entity associated therewith. This could also actually just include a simple bank. So you've gone from hacking to cyber terrorism and penalty of death. So a guy who hacks basically National Bank of Pakistan goes to life imprisonment or death. It's not a simple data interference crime. They've completely gone off the scales when it comes to proportionality.
But the fact that it's real term violence, act of violence.
It has nothing to do with violence. Exactly. Cyber terrorism has nothing to do with violence. What is terroristic act? Now look at this. Includes but is not limited to. So we really don't know all the different acts which are terroristic. Altering by addition, deletion or change or attempting to alter information that may result in the imminent injury, sickness or death to any person or the public at large. Let me ask a question. Where's the electronic attack being talked about?
If I sneeze onto somebody and they catch a cold, so
It's terroristic act.
Terroristic act. Or you kill somebody. Death by computer.
hit
That's
somebody
like-
with a power mat.
It's not about the death, it's not about the killing, it's about the cyber terrorist attack on the system. That's what cyber terrorism is all about. Alright, so that's odd. Moving on.
Sickness.
Well, actually, they were thinking that maybe आपने वो medication, you know, these are things I know they talked about. Medication आपने ऊपर नीचे कर ली तो बंदा मर जाएगा, आपने अंदर जाके national system में कह दिया इसको आप 200 milligrams ही 800
We don't have a
milligrams.
national health system.
मैंने upgrade कर दिया
हम
आपने.
बनाएंगे ना अभी. It's not about
सोच रहे हैं.
No, but then this is open to interpretation and you can.
Absolutely, it's not limited to.
2. Transmission or attempted transmission of a harmful program. Question. Is Microsoft a harmful program?
Don't ask that question here.
What's a harmful program? With the purpose of substantially disrupting or disabling any computer network operated by the government or any public entity. So if you go and you install Windows in a government organization and it disrupts it,
No,
you know, you get life imprisonment.
No, but private entities don't come in this law.
No, they're not. Only the government is.
And substantial damage only. So if
So
I
all-
damage
वो तो
10
कोई sensible program में आप डाल देते हो
but not
disrupting the government
तो
to making it work.
KESC को, check this out, Karachi Electric Supply Corporation को अगर आप कुछ करते हैं, that's not a terroristic act. But Lahore Electric Supply, ISO को करेंगे, that's a terroristic attack. There's some difference between the Karachiites and the guys living in
Yeah,
Islam.
that's the sad story.
Aiding the commission of or attempting to aid the commission of an act of violence against the sovereignty of Pakistan. This has nothing to do with cyber terrorism. That's pure terrorism, pure criminal offense. That has nothing to do with cyber terrorism.
And they have criminal law already.
Already, this is covered under other various other laws. Under the Terrorism Act, under the PPC, under several other laws. The fourth one is really, really interesting. A terroristic act, remember ladies and gentlemen, is and can be, don't read stealing, because by the way, stealing is not the right definition of theft under the law. So the lawyer didn't know what he was doing here. Forget stealing. Copying or attempting to copy, don't read classified as secure, data necessary to manufacture any form of chemical, biological, nuclear weapon. Because they're all cores, I'm not reading some stuff. So read it like that. Copying or attempting to copy data necessary to manufacture any form of chemical, biological, or weapons of mass destruction. So you Google nuclear weapons, or you Google plutonium, or anthrax,
And you copy that data.
and no, it could be on your
It's
cache.
already-
It's already, the moment you access it, it's copied.
Zahid, explain this one slowly.
Okay.
With this example.
Alright, this one means that basically if you went to Google and you typed in nuclear weapons or nuclear bomb or plutonium or anthrax or any of the things which any form of chemical, biological weapon or the weapon, data necessary for the manufacturer, which means any data that is necessary for the manufacture of a WMD, and it could be partial, it could be anything.
But does not include delivery of the WMD.
No, nothing to do with it. It's just manufacture.
Wow.
So if you're doing some research,
The missiles are okay.
Yeah, that's what I do. My son
Delivery
is
system
okay.
is separate, maybe, yeah, possibly. But the idea is that if you're even trying to research anything that is necessary to manufacture a nuclear or basically weapons of mass destruction, that would be a criminal act. Sorry, terroristic act.
So I'm Googling plutonium.
Yes.
I'm not copying that data, I'm just viewing
No,
it.
it's on your
The
cache.
government thinks,
I wanted to.
yeah, no. If you're just viewing it, it's still copying because what ends up happening is it comes into your cache, it's on your computer, you've copied it. It's there on the temp file, temp folders. So you've copied it.
how do
And-
you get into secure classified?
There's plenty of stuff on
You would hack into it, therefore the hacking should be the crime, not the rest of the crime. Exactly. Number one. Number two, it says or. And so if you don't read those two, a copy of secure or classified information, just read data necessary. It doesn't just have to be secure, it could be unsecured data also that you're accessing. And if you're doing that, it's still a terroristic act. And that's pretty serious. So anybody who's Googling stuff will have
This specifically says secure or classified information.
Or data.
or
necessary.
data necessary.
It's the ands and ors that are.
That makes the difference.
throwing us over.
So it could be either secure or classified or just simply data.
Data.
When is actually what they probably meant was copy secure
Classified.
or classified or
Data.
secure or classified data.
ये और हटा दें.
Secure
और
or
हटा.
classified information or data. That's where they all effectively
But
are.
then one could say कि आपकी inflection पढ़ने
हाँ
की
हाँ
बात
बिल्कुल absolutely this is not
And
the
in any
way.
case, this is not
And
a
stealing
cyber
or
terrorist
copying
attack.
it should not be a terroristic act.
But this is not cyber terrorism.
Using it is.
But this is still not
Manufacture.
cyber terrorism. We're not defining terrorism as terrorism in this law. This is cyber crime. We're talking about cyber terrorism. They don't know what cyber terrorism is. They think it's a terroristic attack. It's not.
Should it be terrorism or terroristicism?
It should be. It should be. No, you wouldn't. You don't say terroristic. You don't say terrorism. You would use the word terrorism though. But when you define this, and I'll show you an example of where it's been already done in Pakistan. In this act, terrorism means the use or threat of action where the action falls within the meaning of subsection 2. The use or threat is designed to coerce, intimidate, or overthrow the government or the public or a section of the public or a community or sect or create a sense of fear and security in society. It's very well written. Or use or threat is made for the purpose of advancing a religious, sectarian, or ethnic cause. It's very clear. Action shall fall within the meaning, action, not act. Action shall fall within the meaning of subsection 1 if it involves doing of anything that causes death, involves grievous violence against a person or grievous bodily injury or harm to a person, involves grievous damage to a property, involves doing of anything that is likely to cause death or endangers a person's life. This is already existing under the Terrorism Act. We don't need to put it under the Cybercrime Bill. But that's something different. Cybercrime.
Is this drafted correctly? I mean, obviously, so then why? I mean, this is drafted also here, or do you
Yes,
think this was just
Pakistan.
given to us in America, from America or someplace?
No, it wasn't. It was drafted by someone who's very dear to me, and they drafted this, and it is law since 2001.
Okay.
Yep. And it was drafted here locally by Pakistan. And they know this because I've told them constantly. If you really want to know about terrorism, read your own law. You're a lawyer. Read your own. You should know what the Terrorism Act says. Read that. There's language there. And that's not what we're trying to deal with when we're dealing with cyber terrorism. Cyber terrorism is not the usual terrorism we deal with. It's something completely different. It's bringing down servers. It's bringing down doing electronic attack. That's a different thing altogether. So although we call it terrorism, it's not terrorism. It's a totally different thing. So etc. So I have this slide when somebody asks me. I show look, we already have laws in Pakistan, and they can be sensibly written if you really want to. The law actually gives powers to an agency, but doesn't actually give protection to the people. Because it has a section about it, creating an agency with powers. It can search and enter any premises after obtaining a search warrant. Now, interestingly enough, what you should know is that the search warrant, because FI is going to do this, is not issued by a judicial supervisory authority, but by somebody who's judicial inside the FI itself. Next, no grounds.
Who issues the search warrant?
FI itself.
Normally, if you wanted to search, if somebody wanted
Same.
to search my house,
Yes.
where would they go and get permission?
What they should do is they should go to a magistrate, get a warrant from the magistrate.
That's the police searching.
After showing grounds.
Now, after showing grounds. Now, the deal
Is there a
is
special agency that sort of researches who's doing what? Who's going to catch these guns?
the Federal Investigation Agency, FI.
I see. So they
Hamari.
do their research.
The thing is that so far, this kind of stuff's been happening in Pakistan, and still they need to get physical evidence to convict you. So, you got something to rely on. This is electronic. This can be made up. This is dangerous stuff. And you need to have clear protocols, what we call due process and procedures in place. Because this is very, very dangerous legislation if it does not have protection. Now, so you don't have to give grounds. They don't even tell you what grounds you need for obtaining a search warrant. Guess which law is to be applied? A law of 1800, the Criminal Procedure Code of 1897. That's the ground. Those are the things that you're going to apply when you're doing a forensic investigation in the year 2007 on cybercrime. And it doesn't have provisions that deal with cybercrime. Because in cybercrime, you don't come in and say, Acha, this is a part of, it's a crime scene, and that's evidence, and I want that computer picked up, sealed, and let's take it out of here. Because imagine doing that in a bank, which has a mainframe, and it has several different websites, and one website that you're looking for, which has been hacked, is only one, but you've got 250 websites there. So what you need to unplug the 249 websites just because you're investigating one? No, the way you do it is they come in now, they don't take the physical element, they make a copy. They do a chain of custody. The chain of custody is not mentioned. So this law talks about simply, very simply, you get a search warrant, no grounds, you access, inspect any electronic system. Any. Use any such electronic system to search any data.
Now, this
Access-
doesn't even limit it to computers.
No. Mobile phones, everything.
No, it could even be my music system.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's
It's electronic,
Yes.
yeah,
It's electronic.
It's
Yes,
a boundless.
You could have on your
What about
let's say
television?
a CD, for example, you could have a CD ROM which could be inspecting you and having bombs.
Access to any information, code or technology. Any information, code or technology. Encryption data, encrypted data. So even if it's encrypted, let's say any encryption को तुम decrypt करते हो.
So what if you were making a film about Pakistan and the nuclear age or something? You
Yeah.
had all this raw footage that was sort of equivalent to this. Would you?
You would end up.
If you copied a raw footage about how to make a nuclear bomb, that would be considered cyber terrorism. A terroristic act under the cyber terrorism clause of the eCrime.
But remember one thing, suppose a documentary was being made today
G.
of what you're doing here. You're trying to bring the government down.
Is it? I'm not trying to.
Terroristic act.
I'm not.
You're trying to bring down their law.
It's not law yet.
Not yet, but
Trying to insult ministers.
Okay.
Okay.
Next one. Require any person where reasonable suspicion, etc. exists.
Zahid, a second.
Yeah.
We can go on for 3 minutes, then we take a 10-minute break.
Yeah.
Give everyone
I know,
coffee.
very much.
We get our tapes replenished and start again.
Perfectly fine.
So
No worries.
3 minutes.
That's fine. And if they can require any person to give any data and information, and if that person doesn't, and he says sorry, I don't have it, then he can be put into jail for obstruction or 1 year imprisonment, 100,000 rupees.
so when you say require any person to decrypt such information, I don't know how to decrypt it if I didn't encrypt
To
it.
decrypt the file.
No.
But
the point
I
is-
think you're doing it on purpose.
No, I know,
You
but I'm
actually
saying
know.
you send me an email which contains an encrypted description of how to make a nuclear bomb. It's now on my desk. He arrives with the FI, he checks it out and says, I want to know what this is. I don't know, Jala anyway, decrypt it. I don't know how to decrypt it. So what
You
do
go
I
to
do?
jail.
But they will see if
do not collect $400 either.
And then
If you obstruct it.
no, if you like,
Obstruction could be
they will
anything,
first
not
give you a 14-day remand if you
That's
survive.
obstruction of justice.
वो तो अलग मसला है.
That's obstruction of justice.
But still, they won't get access to the information because you may put in jail for a year.
Are we done? We can take a break now because it's a logical break. We can. This stuff is interesting. So come back when you have had your coffee and stuff. Now we're getting some really interesting things.